MLB The Show 24 has finally dropped, which means it is now time to start our franchise series here on the brand new game with the Colorado Rockies. And I am very excited for this series. I've been looking forward to it for the last month or two, so exciting to finally get things underway. If you did not watch the episode 0 team reveal, first off, I'd recommend you go watch it. It's under 10 minutes and it will explain in further detail what I'm about to talk about now. But in that video, kind of the Spark Notes version, we are doing a draft only rebuild here of these Rockies. And what that entails here, and I say draft only in, air quotes because there's a couple of exceptions that we'll get to in just a minute. But as part of that draft only rebuild, the first step is after this first season, this 2024 MLB season, we are removing the entire 40-man roster from the organization. If they have multi-year contracts, we'll release them. And if they have, arbitration or whatever in the offseason, we're just not bringing them back. So that's half of the team, including the entire major league team, that's just gonna be removed from the team, which will leave us with really the farm system to start with. And from there, we will be using only the Rule 5 and rookie drafts to build this team up. So because we're going to be removing the entire 40-man roster after the first year, this first year of the franchise will be a little bit quicker than the rest of the years. We're probably going to get through year 1 in about 4 or 5 episodes, I would guess. And 2, we're not going to be focusing on the major league roster at all. And I realize I said A and then 2 rather than B, but it's whatever. So there's really no reason to watch these guys play if they're all going to be taken off the team in year 1. So instead, we will be treating in this first year the AA roster as our kind of main roster. And I'll be adding guys like Dollander and Thompson, 2 of our biggest prospects, and pretty much anybody with potential will be playing on this AA roster. And then starting in year 2, we'll take more of a holistic view at the organization as a whole, paying attention to all 3 levels. But for this first year, it's going to be just the prospects at the AA level that we'll be taking a look at. And we'll probably be doing mostly player-centric episodes rather than taking a look at the whole AA team. But if you take a look at the prospects that are not on the 40-man roster, there are not a lot with high potential in this organization. Chase Dollander is the only A potential prospect that will be eligible for use in this series. Just picked at number 9 overall by the Colorado Rockies in this most recent draft. After that, you have Zach Veen, who's had A potential in the last few games, but is down to more of a high B situation here in this one. Sterling Thompson here, the only infielder with B potential in the organization. Good fielder, has a solid start hitting as well. Jordan Beck, one of the 2 outfielders we have alongside Veen, can certainly hit lefties a decent bit. And then Drew Romo, a very low B potential for him. And that's it. 1 catcher, 2 corner outfielders, 1 infielder, and 1 pitcher. That is all we're really starting with in terms of guys with at least B potential. I think Benny Montgomery has like 79 or 78, so he's almost there. But this is the starting point. We have a long way to go from here. Now, one of the things mentioned, I'd talk about the one exception to being a draft-only franchise. One of the things that we've added to hopefully speed up the process just a little bit, because this will take a while, is that I'm allowed to make 3 trades in this entire franchise series, and they have to be for prospects that are not on the 40-man roster of the team we are trading with. And so most likely going to be using one of those 3 trades with Nolan Jones here. He has a lot of value. I think we could add to this short pool of high potential prospects by trading him. You know, we're going to lose him at the end of the season regardless. You know, if this wasn't a draft only franchise and this was more of a traditional franchise, he'd obviously be somebody that you would keep long term with that massive arm over in right field. That's something that I'm always looking for in the draft myself. And, you know, 25 years old. But since he is forced to be removed from the team after year 1, I think we just take advantage and trade him now. So if there are any prospects in real life that you would like to see me target with Nolan Jones here, let me know, because he's going to be on the move for sure at some point in this first season. And then, of course, on the 40-man, there are a few other guys who are young with high potential, but they will not be eligible for this rebuild. So, with that being said, I think we just simulate through spring training. Again, all these guys in spring training are on the 40-man roster and won't be long-term pieces for us. So, for episode 1, the first thing I'd like to do, I want to show you the scouts here that we will be rocking for the start of this series. And what I was looking for in scouts is exactly what I was looking for in MLB The Show 23. I think the formula we had worked well, and I want to keep up with it here in this. And that's really, you know, in this number 3 spot, you find the cheapest scout with 90 discovery that you can. There's a 94 discovery scout that costs only 80 grand. He's going to be discovering only, so it doesn't matter that his other, you know, stats suck. All he's going to be asked to do is discover. And then with the top guy, we want at least 90 efficiency and 90 position players. And with the second guy, we want at least 90 efficiency and 90 pitchers. This guy also happens to have 90 position players as well. And Medina could spot discover for us, but that's not really going to be making the most of their talents. And so this is what we're going to be rocking with. I think, you know, have this guy focus only on position players, this guy focus only on pitchers. Unless we need some additional help with position players, he can help with that as well. And then this guy focus only on discovery. That will be the plan for this year, and probably we're not going to change these guys until one of them retires, would be my guess. Before we hop into our first gameplay here, I'm just going to show you what we're rocking with our AA squad here for the first season. Chase Dollander to be the pitcher in that number 1 spot for us. He'll be pitching our first game, which we will watch today. And here's what we got behind him. Our bullpen, nobody in the 60s even, except for Nick Bush, who's technically a starting pitcher, already has -1 stamina this year, despite AA not playing a game yet. So that's fun to see. But obviously the focal point of the starting pitching by a mile is Chase Dollander at 22 years old. Still has quite a ways to come here before I think he's MLB ready by any means, but with a franchise series like the one we're doing, we're certainly gonna be patient. It's gonna take a long while for us to be competitive, and these guys are gonna get whatever time they need to be able to become successful players at the MLB level. Really want to work on those per 9s above anything else for Dollander, so that's where his training will be focused here. And now for the lineups. So what we've got going here is really there's the 4 players with P potential are the guys that we're most concerned with. Drew Romo here at 22 years old. He is going to be batting 9th, just not quite there yet with the pitching, at least against righties. Against lefties, it's looking a little bit better. The fact that his vision, discipline, and clutch are all at exactly 40 is interesting, but certainly a good start behind the mound and projects to be a good defender there. But we're going to need to work on his hitting, and so I think first things first, we're going to work on his plate skills with his training to start out this first year. So if you can get those up, it just helps your other hitting stats come up as well. But the most exciting player probably of these guys is Zach Veen. He already has, 55 contact and power against righties, which you like to see. 6'4" as well. Discipline at 50 is pretty solid as well. We're probably going to train him in power to start. I think he has a decent start, especially against righties, to become a good power hitter. We're just going to try to develop that for Zach Veen. Next up, you got Jordan Beck, also 22. All these guys are 22. Everyone that has B or higher potential is exactly 22 years old on this team. More of a lefty hitter, but again, just like with Zach Veen, has the potential to be a really good hitter against lefties. He needs work on his plate skills though, so we'll be training him there. And then Sterling Thompson here. He's a guy whose calling card right now is defense, but you're going to hear this a lot. If a guy is struggling with plate skills, that's always going to be the first thing that I want to train up, because leveling up plate skills just makes hitting all around a lot easier. So that's what we'll be working on with our B potential or higher players. They're all, of course, going to be starting here at the AA level, and with the exception of Drew Romo, they're going to be given pretty prominent positions, in either the batting lineup or the pitching order. So, with that being said, let's see the very first action here of the franchise series with the AA affiliate Yard Goats. Let's now hop into the first ever gameplay here of MLB The Show 24 with our AA Hartford Yard Goats going against the Sea Dogs today of Portland at Capitol Field. And gonna see all of our prospects here for the very first time. See if anybody can pop off and impress to start the series. We're gonna be starting on offense against Chi Jung Liu, who will be pitching for the Sea Dogs today. Their opening day pitcher, for you, if you will, for the Sea Dogs. And before we hop into the game, I do want to talk about sliders. This is just what I'm going to be going with for this game. I'm going to be tweaking these quite often. I really want to nail down a solid slider set that just results in games that are a little bit more varied, a little bit more maybe offensive friendly than what we saw in my MLB The Show 23 franchise. Of course, I don't have a slider set nailed down yet. I just started playing the game, but hopefully we can get one underway, as Simpson is getting this game underway with a leadoff double. Making a nice first impression here, our designated hitter, outfielder for us. Bringing up Sterling Thompson, who was the number 31 overall pick in the 2022 MLB draft. Our only infielder with B potential, hoping for big things from him. But he's going to be out here on his first at-bat of the season. Zach Veen hits this one well into center field, but is tracked down there by that center fielder of the Sea Dogs. So that'll be 2 down after the leadoff double. Do not want to waste it. Jordan Beck, our last hope, to not leave him on base, but it's going to be a grounder straight to shortstop. And just like that, the leadoff double left on base. Chase Dolander, the number 1 prospect in the organization for us in this franchise series. Hopefully a future ace for us. Hoping he can make a good first impression on us here. But already, very first pitch of the series, he's letting off an extra base hit. So not a good start, but now we get to see what he performs like with runners in scoring position. Next batter up, McDonough puts this one in play. It's down in left field. Beck tracks it down, but the Sea Dogs will get on the board here in the first inning. Consecutive hits there. Blaze Jordan up to bat. Lifts this one up lazily into center. So the first out of the season. for the Yard Goats. And a beautiful pitch. Gets Decker swinging on the slider well inside the zone. Made him look silly on that swing. And then a grounder here. Going to be stopped up by the first baseman. And that will be all for the Sea Dogs. But they're off to an early 1-0 lead. Ritter, our shortstop. Only D potential with Ritter, but he is one of the higher overall guys. So hoping he can have a solid season at the AA level for us. There he grounds out Kokoska. Our first baseman lifts this into foul territory and is tracked down by the right fielder. So 2 quick outs here to start the second. Trying to avoid going 1, 2, 3, but we can't do it. Benny Montgomery swipes at the outside slider. And the U. 2 innings, no runs allowed so far. Lugo gonna get on base here with a line drive out to center field. And an easy double. So a double for the leadoff hitter in both innings so far for the Sea Dogs. But Dolander gets psyched to swing at that low fastball. A couple of really nice strikeouts here. This one chopped to second. And second out acquired here. Man advances to third. For the 9-hitter Sogard. 1-2 the count. And it's right down the middle. Don't know what Sogard was waiting for there, but I'll take that for Dolander's third strikeout. And he keeps the Sea Dogs off the board in the second inning, despite the leadoff double. Guerrero up to bat. He gets our second hit of the ball game. Gonna be a single here to lead off the third. Bringing up Drew Romo, be potential catcher. This one's lifted to shallow right, and it's tracked down and caught for the first out of the inning. Order flips up, and it's Simpson back to the plate, but Guerrero going to be caught stealing. Here to get that second out and empty the base paths once more. Simpson doubled in his first plate appearance, but here he is swiping at the splitter. Down and away outside the zone. So, 3 innings in, no runs scored for our Yard Goats. Dolander looking for some run support here as he gets a fly out to left to start the third inning. So we don't get a third straight leadoff double. McDonough gonna hit this one right in front of Zach Veen, down for a single. Bringing up Blaze Jordan. This pitch low in the zone. Once again, just bounces right in front of an outfielder. This time, though, it's Benny Montgomery who throws to third. Just barely safe. That one looked to me like he had him. I thought the throw was good. Let's see it one more time. Right in front of his feet. Hop, throw. Just late. Yep. Dang. Bang, bang play goes in favor of the Sea Dogs. It was the correct call. Lifted to center. Decker looking to get a sacrifice fly here, and we're not even going to throw it to home. Run number 2 for Portland on the board. Dolander pitches this one to Teal, who gets it to left field. Runners now on first and second with 2 down. Lugo up. He's going to walk. A first walk allowed here. Bases juiced for Sykes. This one's chopped straight to third. The throw to first is on time and on target. So things were getting a little dicey there in the third, but we'll allow just the 1 run, which I think is an acceptable outcome for how dicey things got there. Lazy fly ball here for Sterling Thompson, so no hit yet today for him. Zach Veen, 0 for 1, and he's gonna swing and miss the splitter well below the zone. Liu, some strong pitching here from him today, and he gets another strikeout. That splitter has been working for him to rack up those Ks quite nicely today. Gonzalez, lazy fly into foul territory. It's hauled in by our first baseman. Sogar right to first base once more. This time he's covering the bag. For out number 2. Order flips over for Portland. And Paulino to center, and Benny Montgomery able to track it down. Hit pretty well. Montgomery had enough speed to get underneath it. Ritter, another lazy fly here for the first out, top of the 5th. Koska, that one was well inside. Decided to swing at it anyway. Sometimes it's hard not to swing when you've got 2 strikes on the board. You never want to be caught looking, but ultimately would have been better off watching that one as Montgomery swings through that pitch. 0 runs through 5 innings for the Yard Goats. Offense nowhere to be seen. So far, we have just 2 hits in 5 innings. Jordan up to the plate. This one high in the zone. Lifted well to the left, but going to be caught on the warning track by Beck once more. 2 gone for Decker. This one chopped to third, hauled in by Thompson. The throw on the run is on time. So another scoreless inning for Dollander, who's, I think, gotten better as the game has gone along, and now his gloves getting checked. Top of the 6th. Need the offense to start showing up. But a just beautiful pitch by Liu, who's really mowing through this lineup in this game. Romo not going to get on the board with this one. Ground out to third. Order flips. Simpson, the only one of only 2 guys to have a hit today. Can't add a second. And it's another scoreless 6th for our offense. Dollander does come out here for the 6th. His pitch count getting a little bit up there, and he allows the leadoff single. I probably would have removed him after that, but manager decides to keep him out for a little bit longer, and we get another hit here. This time it's Lugo. And that would officially end off the day for Chase Dollander. Overall, I think he settled in nicely in those middle innings, but just a rough start here to the 6th is going to bring in Kaufman, who's going to start his day with a strikeout. Sykes going down swinging on that pitch, elevated and inside. Gonzalez up to the plate. It's this one deep. It's to center field. Tracked down by Montgomery, but it should be an easy tag for run number 3. The Sea Dogs. 9-hitter here. Lifted once more. This time it's back. And Zach Veen going up, and he's not going to get it. Going to be a 2-run homer from Nick Sogard, making it 5-0 for the Portland Sea Dogs in our first game of the season. I think I've seen enough of the pitching in today's episode. Let's see if our B potential players can get anything going offensively. Zach Veen going to go down swinging there, his 2nd strikeout. That'll bring up Jordan Beck, 0 for 2 today. This one is cranked to left field. No doubt about it. It's a home run, and the Hartford Yard Goats are finally on the board, courtesy of a solo shot from Jordan Beck. We're really excited about his potential as a corner outfielder to be somebody who can provide some power for us, and he's showing it off here in Game 1. Love to see that early, and glad to know that we're not going to be shut out here in the first game. Drew Romo up to bat here, top of the 8th now. Struck it pretty well, but right to left field. So he'll be out there. Now top of the 9th. One last chance for these guys to get a hit on the board. Thompson, though, hit it right to the shortstop. I imagine that will be called an error, and that will be it. It was hit decently hard, but it was right at him. So we should have hauled it in. Zach V. It's this right to first, looking like it's going to be a double play here to end the game, and that's exactly what it is. Just a rough offensive performance for us today, and you can't blame the fact that minor league offense is always rough because the Sea Dogs put up 5 runs, which is a pretty solid effort. So, just not our day today. And Dollander certainly had his moments, but, also had a little bit of struggle as well. So, just not good enough on either side here today. Dollander goes 5 innings, allows 8 hits, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 4 earned runs. Let's take a look here at his pitching analysis. This is something I never did in MLB The Show 23, just to kind of see what we're looking at here. He by far leaned on the fastball, no surprise there. Threw 72% strike zone, which is pretty solid. On his 21 sliders, he threw 62% strike and had a 200 batting average. That was probably his best pitch today. You can go by all these batter types, which is really cool. You can see all of his pitches. Cool little tool here that I just didn't really use in last year's game. Now it's time to take our very first look here at this draft class and set up our week 1 draft board. And as I'm going kind of through the top of my class, seeing it for the first time, it's a good time to just explain kind of what I'm going to be doing with the draft and my strategy. You've seen what I've done with the scouts, but one of the fun things about this franchise series is that we're playing in Coors Field, of course, with the Colorado Rockies. You get the elevation, you get the increased home runs. So there are going to be 3 big things that I'll be focusing on here in the scouting process. Not going to say these are the only things I'll be looking out for, but I'll have an extra eye out for the following things. And the first here is power, which we see with Richard Chen. Looks to be a very solid power prospect, number 2 prospect in this draft. Obviously, playing in the elevation, you want to take advantage of those increased home runs by getting some guys very capable of hitting home runs in a bunch. The second is going to be pitching, just because, it's a little bit more difficult to pitch in Coors Field. That doesn't mean we're going to just give up on it and not try to find some awesome pitching prospects. And with those pitchers, we're going to have an extra emphasis on home runs per 9 to hopefully at least put a dent in how many home runs we're giving up. And then the last thing is plate skills. So kind of the 3 P's, if you will, of what I'm going to be looking for in these draft classes: power, pitching, the emphasis on home runs per 9, and plate skills, just because if we can get guys on base via the walk, when we hit those home runs, we can bring in extra runs and make those home runs even more valuable. So not going to say again that I'm not going to draft a guy if he doesn't fit exactly that specialty that I'm looking for, but they'll certainly be used as tiebreakers and stuff like that, priorities on who I decide to scout individually, etc., etc. So that is what we will be doing here for the first week of scouting. That opening game didn't quite give me enough offense, I feel like, so we're going to hop into some player-focused gameplay. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that I got from my MLB The Show 23 draft-only franchise is that I should do some more player-centric content, and I totally agree. One of my biggest gripes, I guess you could say, is Zach Veen hits this one hard to right field. Up against the wall, should be a double for him, and it will be sliding into second safely. One of my biggest gripes about CPU versus CPU gameplay is that you can't do the player lock. I think, in the MLB The Show series that I've watched from guys like Mr. Hurricane, player lock episodes, or just having player lock gameplay thrown into some of these episodes, really, I think, enhances the series, but you can't do that in CPU versus CPU. But what we can do is just kind of simulate until a player's at-bats, which I think is a good compromise. And so something I want to be doing a lot more in this series. And to be honest, as we go throughout this series, we're not going to be watching a lot of full games from our minor leagues like we saw earlier in this episode. Going to be a lot more like this, where I think when we hop into the minor leagues, it's going to be to focus on a specific player. Pretty solid day here from Zach Veen. Did strike out a couple of times, but he got a couple of hits on the board as well. And after kind of a struggle of a first game, I wanted to see him get some more action, see if we can see a couple more of his hits here. So we're going to watch 3 games here against the Bay Sox and see if Zach Veen can't get things going here on the season. Bottom of the first, 2 on. He's going to pop this one up at third base. 4 runs on the board. Bottom of the second, Zach Veen up again, and just like we saw last game, a well-hit ball to right field goes up against the wall, and gonna get another double. That is his 3rd double on the season. We've witnessed 2 of them here in these back-to-back games. Very similar hits. Now bottom of the 3rd. Hartford put up 6 runs already. Veen's had an at-bat in every inning so far, and here he picks up the walk. Nice job on the discipline. 4th walk allowed today. Now bottom of the 5th. Got a different pitcher on the mound. Veen slaps it to left field. Bottom 7 now. Yard goes lead 8-1. Veen 1 for 3 today. Lifts this over to left field again. It's getting some solid contact. Just needs it to be a little bit better. So, solid double here from Veen, but unable to do much else in his plate appearances. But the team more than made up for the rest. Good offensive performance. Turning 10 hits into 8 runs. That's the kind of efficiency you like to see. So let's hop into the 3rd game now. We enter this bottom 1 down by 2, but with 2 runners on base. Zach Veen hits this well to center field. It is off against the wall. Should be extra bases and bring home at least 1, if not both of those runs. And it will be a 2-run triple to start off the game for Zach Veen. Excellent start. Ties this game up as well. And this is exactly the kind of hitting I was hoping we would see if we tuned into some player lock gameplay with Zach Veen. He's been awesome here in this series so far against the Bay Sox. Really has raised his average for the season up a bunch. We're still very early, so of course small sample size. You're always going to raise it up quite a lot. Here he gets a single right up the middle. With 2 down here, bottom of the 2nd. Hartford now leads by 1. Bottom 5 now. We got a tie ball game. No one on. 2 for 2 today. Veen looks to get on the board once more, and he's going to do it. Finds that gap in the short right center field. His 2nd single today. 2 men on here, bottom of the 6th. Veen smacks this one to right center. It's hit hard. Right fielder going back to get it, and he's not gonna find it because it's over the wall for the first home run of the season for Zach Veen. That's gonna break this game open 7-3. And now we've seen the first home run of the season for both of our high potential outfielders. You love to see it. Veen has turned things on here in this game, and now he's a double away from hitting for the cycle here. Bottom of the 8th, 2 down. 4 for 4 today. Can he get that double? That one left over the middle. It's to the outfield, but cannot quite find the gap. That was close. We were pretty dang close, actually, to seeing Zach Veen hit for the cycle in this one. Bay Sox would make actually a pretty impressive 9th inning rally, scoring 5 runs, but we'd win in the bottom of the 9th. Zach Veen, of course, your player of the game today. Just an excellent performance from him. 4 for 5, home run and a triple, bunch of RBIs. We have now wrapped up the month of April here and have gotten through the first couple of days of May, so I can give you an update on the scouting situation. We've got one more week of scouting international players. The next region that we'll be scouting pitchers on will be East, so I'm getting the discovery done ahead of time there. And in terms of guys at the top of our board, so far the top ranked guy that we've actually scouted any would be Henry Tanana out of Japan. Unfortunately, his home runs per 9 is not great. He's got a 3-pitch mix, but looks to be very, very good at avoiding walks, which is what makes him so highly touted. Solid velocity there. Should have the stamina to play starter long term as well. The best of the position players we've seen so far would be Morgan Villarreal. He has 84 to 94 potential, 61 to 71 overall. He's 21 years old. He's got a bit of power. He's better at hitting lefties for sure. That power versus lefties will be in the 60s, which is nice. Plate skills aren't in the greatest spot, likely to be in the 30s, but a little bit of power, some athleticism. I could definitely see that being a solid place to start. We just have to boost up his fielding and his plate skills a bit. There's also Richard Chen, who we've scouted, who projects to be a really good power hitter as well. Not going to be much of a defender at all, though. And you don't love taking somebody that might project to be a long-term DH there with, a top 3 pick, but he is going to be able to hit, and his potential will be in that B range. So far, haven't really found anyone else yet to kind of be that riser, that steal per se, but we still got plenty of time to look for that. We got a couple of good discovery pitchers here that we just need to put some scouting into, and that's where we're at this point in the draft. Still looking for somebody that we can get really excited about at that number 3 spot. And elsewhere, we are 13-13 with our AA team here as we sit. And in the MLB, we are 13-20. You take a look at the top prospects. I just kind of want to see where our guys rank now that the MLB players have been sorted out of the top prospects list. Jackson Holliday is still the number 1 guy. I want you guys to see this list, because if we're trading Nolan Jones sometime this season, these are the prospects that we'll have the option to choose from. Jackson Holliday, best prospect in baseball, shortstop, really good. Just all-around player. He'd be an awesome get. 20 years old. Ethan Salas here, division rival, but I wouldn't hate trading Nolan Jones to a division rival just because it would be fun to have him in the division, add the challenge. But 18-year-old center would be center. Thinking I'm in basketball mode still. Haven't quite switched to baseball. Catcher there. Paul Skeens, really good pitcher, was the first pitcher taken in this most recent draft. Caminero is on the 40-man roster, so he would be ineligible. But like Walker Jenkins, another good outfielder that was just taken in this draft. Drew Jones has a lot of speed, former number 1 overall pick. There are a lot of good players. If we're thinking pitcher, there's guys like Hurston Waldrop and Noble Meyer here. You got the number 1 overall pick from this last draft, Dylan Cruz, already 22 years old. But here's kind of what we're looking at. Xavier Isaac has 64 power versus righties. That would be intriguing if we want to trade him for a first baseman. But taking a look now at where our guys stand, our top ranked prospect is Chase Dolander, coming in at number 34. He's struggled to start the year for sure. Hopefully we can get him back on track. We'll definitely be focusing on him in one of these next episodes, whether it be this next one or the one after. Hoping to get his AA season on the right track here soon. Zach Veen, who we took a big look at here today, somehow has -3 contact lefties and -1 power lefties already, but he has +3 contact righties and +1 contact power righties, excuse me. So overall it's a net 0, but he's becoming even a little bit more of a specialist against righties, and he's been killing it. Up to a 386 average, OPS over 1,000, just tearing through this start. 3 home runs, and I was glad that we were able to witness him get things going this season. And that's the 2 that we have inside the top 50. Just outside the top 50 is Sterling Thompson, still not doing much in terms of the upgrades. -1 power lefties, hitting under 200 so far this year, so not great to start off. OPS just over 500. And then I think is that going to be all we got in the top 100? Yes, it is. Well, the nice thing about this game is they've added top 20 prospects by organization. At least I'm pretty sure they added this. It might have been something in previous games, but I certainly don't remember it if it was. And I feel like I would have used this feature if it was available. So here's what MLB The Show has for our top prospect list. Of course, we know these guys: Veen, Thompson, Beck, Romo up near the top. These are the guys with the B potential that we've got, and hoping to add a lot of really exciting talent to this come the draft. Probably a couple episodes away from that, but that's pretty much what I've got here for episode 1. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm excited to keep this series rolling along. Again, we'll be going through season 1 pretty quickly here. Just a few episodes more so we can get our hands on this team and make it ours as soon as possible. Episode 2 coming out soon, and I will see you then.